A new report from the U.S. government says Chinese hacking has increased over the past year amid a trade dispute between the U.S. and Communist China. The U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer says hacking efforts are aimed at stealing American technology and trade secrets. President Trump is set to meet, by the way, with Chinese President and Communist dictator Xi Jinping on December 1st at the G20 summit in Argentina. Joining me now to discuss Chinese aggression against the U.S. and, of course, that upcoming meeting between President Trump and Chinese Premier Xi, Gordon Chang, author of The Coming Collapse of China and The Nuclear Showdown. There are the two books. Gordon, thank you for joining us tonight. What are you hoping comes out of this meeting on the sidelines of the G20? It's at the end of next week. Do you have any optimism? Are you optimistic something can be done, or are you optimistic that nothing can be done?
I hope that there's no agreement, Ashley.
You don't want an agreement?
I don't want an agreement because we've had so many agreements with China over the course of decades, including that September 2015 agreement where Xi Jinping, the Chinese ruler, and President Obama stood in the Rose Garden and both promised not to hack the commercial enterprises of the other country for commercial purposes. The Chinese have not stopped hacking U.S. companies for commercial purposes since that deal, and it's gotten worse since the middle of 2017. So, we got our backs against the wall. Everyone wants an agreement with China, and of course it would be the best.
But they're not acting in good faith.
But they're not acting in good faith. Xi Jinping, for various internal reasons, can't come to terms with the United States, can't deal with us in good faith. So the only alternative is for us to impose costs on China that are so great that basically at some point Xi Jinping has to back down.
But when is that point?
I don't know.
Because they're famously good for playing the long game, China. They'll figure that President Trump is no longer going to be president in 6 years' time. They'll just wait it out until a new leader comes in that maybe won't be putting as much pressure on them as an unconventional President Trump.
I think that in Washington, and you see this across the U.S., it's across the U.S. political spectrum, there is this real concern about China. So even if President Trump weren't there, I think that this would be continued by his predecessor. The thing that's important, though, is that when you start to look at this, the issue is when will Xi Jinping back down? That's a Trump issue. That's a question of how much political pressure Trump is going to put on the Chinese economy with tariffs or other things.
Is he doing enough in your mind?
He is doing what is necessary and politically acceptable, but I think that clearly the Chinese at this point, Xi Jinping doesn't want to back down. He knows that if he does back down, he's going to lose not only power, but he could lose more. So he's all in on this, and that means that this is a struggle. But
you said to me that it's not just the United States, but it's the global community is losing patience with China. It's interesting that Beijing, as I noted, I read here, has been trying without success to recruit France, Germany, Japan, and other governments as allies against President Trump, and they've said no way. They agree with the United States. With the contention is that China is cheating, stealing, and doing whatever it has to try and boost its own economy.
Sure. In past years, this policy on the part of Beijing to divide Brussels from Washington worked. It's not working this year. And I think it's largely because they see that Trump is providing leadership. I mean, everyone wanted to do something, but nobody did until this year. And Trump just said he broke the dam. And I think what's happened is around the world, people understand that you got to take a tougher approach on China. No one wants to take a tougher approach, but the Chinese are leaving everybody else no choice but to do that.
Well, we do know that China's economy is slowing down, but is that a product of the sanctions the United States is putting in place and the pressure it's putting in place, or is it more a case, others have argued, that the Chinese government is trying to tackle its massive mountain of debt that is also having a big impact on their economy?
I think it's more just the internal factors in China, including debt. But, when you have President Trump actually start to impose these tariffs, it's contributing to China's economic woes. And that is getting some people in China, not Xi Jinping, but some people in China want to do the right thing. Because a lot of people, in fact, are embarrassed by China's theft inside China. And they just...
Do they know about it? Because are they allowed to read about it? How would they know?
They know about it because they participate in it. And also because it's just so commonly known. But, there is this sort of Confucian ideal that you got to be honest and upright, and everyone knows that they're not.
They're not doing that.
And so you have a number of senior former officials in the last week have actually come out and criticized Xi Jinping for his policies for this and other reasons, that they just don't like it.
A lot of predictions out. I was reading the Australian bank, ANZ, predicted that this trade war will go until at least 2020. And they say it's more than just a trade war. It's geopolitical, military, diplomatic, and economic. It's much greater than just a trade war. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. You know, you see Chinese behavior across the board, trying to close off the global commons, grab territory from neighbors. You know, it just goes.
They're being militarily aggressive in the South China Sea.
And East China Sea as well. So China is going in all the wrong directions. Xi Jinping, for various reasons, believes in a state-dominated economy.
Right.
He believes in Maoist political controls. You have what is a crime against humanity in what the Chinese call Xinjiang, which you have the detention of probably more than 1 million Uyghurs and the attempt to eradicate their ethnicity and to eliminate a religion, Islam. You know, this is, you know, the world has not yet really paid attention to this, but these are concentration camps.
Right.
So, you know, China is just across the board.
This isn't going to change overnight, Gordon, clearly, but it takes someone like a President Trump who is unconventional and doesn't have a filter, and we'll call it as it is. It kind of bamboozles the Chinese. Would you agree?
Yeah, the Chinese officials are rattled. They're so used to having American presidential candidates complain about China during the campaign, go into the White House, listen to Henry Kissinger, and then be very nice to the Chinese. This is one president who, in his first year, 2017, tried to come to terms with Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping pushed too far, didn't take advantage of the opportunity. Trump brings down the hammer in 2018. That was absolutely the right approach. People around the world are following in our wake because they are upset as we are, and sometimes even more upset.
We'll see where it all leads to, as they say. Gordon Chang, thank you so much for being here tonight. Appreciate it, Gordon.
Thanks, Ash. Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.